Yes.
It doesn't look like the debate for healthcare is going to go away. I personally feel that it's unconstitutional what we have seen over this last year in our involvement in healthcare. However, there is going to be a summit over the next week between President Obama and representatives from around the Republican Party. If you were part of that group, walking into that room, what would you hope to say and what would you hope to walk away from to really bring healthcare reform to where it needs to be?
Well, I think most of us in this country agree that there is a reform that's necessary in healthcare. I think where the difference is what kind of reforms are necessary. I do not, first of all, believe in a government-run healthcare program. I do not think that's in the best interest of the country or the individuals who are seeking medical attention on any level. And it's why I brought this document, which I signed back in January at a town hall, I believe, in Bedford. And it states that if I'm elected to the House of U.S. Representatives, I would sponsor and support legislation to repeal any federal health care takeover passed in 2010. I want to be very clear with voters where my stance is. I don't believe that government-run health care is the solution. That being said, I think that most people would like to see some sort of reform. What I would say if it was in that room is there are two major areas of concern when it comes to health care. It's not quality, but it's cost and access. So if you're a small business, or if you're someone paying your share of your premium, you feel that your insurance is too expensive. That is absolutely a problem in this country. But there are solutions that we could put on the table for votes this legislative session that would probably have an impact maybe within 12 months that have not been addressed because of this overreaching and this broad approach to try to solve the problem. And then secondly, it's access. There are people legitimately in our country who can't access it because they truly can't afford it. It's roughly 13 million people. So to solve a problem for 13 million people by changing the entire delivery system, I don't think makes good sense. It's not the smart way to address a problem. So on the first one, back in this meeting, I would say, President Rivera would say, Mr. President, what we are looking for are what I don't see as a Republican solution, but just a solution that makes sense. First and foremost, if you're a small business owner, you should be allowed to pool with other employees, other companies. So you hit that 100 employee threshold that gives you an automatic 20% reduction from the health insurance company. An employer with 100 employees or more gets it. But if you're a small business owner, under 100, you don't. That's not fair. Doesn't seem equitable, doesn't seem right. So the first thing I would say is, would you work with, the advocates of pooling? So that would be one, and I'll tell you, New Hampshire is a small business state. Most of you know more than 90% of New Hampshire is small business. That would be a direct positive benefit to employers in the state. And I visited employers, not just today in Rochester, but in other parts of the state, who have asked for that. Some employers are so small that they'd have to pool with 10 or 15 different businesses right here in your downtown. But if you allowed them to do it, they would either be able to finally offer insurance. Some of them don't. I met a gentleman today who doesn't offer insurance because it's too expensive. But if he did that, if he was able to pool, it might be cheaper for him. Secondly, there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to purchase insurance across state lines. If you do it for your car, you should be able to do it for your health care plan. I was up in North Conway visiting T Enterprises, and the owner said he has a policy he could purchase if it was legal in Arizona that would save him $250 per employee per month. That's real, $250 per month per employee. That's real savings, but he can't do it because of the law. That's something that would immediately help competition, and it would put you as the employer more in the driver's seat about your own cost containment. And finally, I would think that portability would have a positive effect on any one of us. You go from job to job, state to state, bring it with you. Just like you do with your insurance for your vehicle. That's portable. I mean, certainly when you pay taxes, that's portable. The government knows exactly where you are and they want your money. I mean, so so I would be asking for those specific reforms that small business has asked for. And what small business would do with that savings, and I've asked them. They put the money back into their company, they hire more employees, which is good for that community, and it's good for families in that particular community. And, small business owners, they don't want to lay people off. They want to keep the economy moving. But they feel that they're at such a disadvantage because of the tax structure, because of the government oversight, because of the regulation, because of the fact that we've been talking about solutions for over a year now, but none of them have been implemented. These are things that we could get done right now, Congress could do right now, but for whatever reason they've chosen not to focus on those specific solutions. Then are there other reforms that can happen down the road? Sure, but let's at least listen to what people are asking for, get those things accomplished, find the things that are going to unite members of Congress. And I say this, and people who have served in the legislature know this, 80% of what the New Hampshire legislature works on is bipartisan. It's so boring you don't hear about it in the papers. What you do hear about, what you do read about, are the contentious arguments. But there's 80% of the work that's done, it's done without frustration. A lot of voice votes that happen because Republicans and Democrats agree on the legislation because it's not partisan. There are solutions that are not partisan that should be able to get done that are just not being done. And I can tell you, I speak from experience. I was with a board of 14 people. I had 2 Republicans, 1 independent, and 11 Democrats. I had to convince people who didn't agree with me all the time about tax policy and why tax cuts made sense. And we got it done. But you've got to be able to be willing to work with the other side. If I were in that room, I'd say, let's work on things that we all agree will help small business. And that's not just helping New Hampshire, that's helping the country. And then I'd ask for the next set of things that the president would like. Now, again, I don't look at this health care proposal and I don't support it as it's written. Very long to read, first of all. I read the first one. The second one was even larger. But I'll tell you, it was concerning to me when the government needed your bank account number. I mean, think about that. Why would you voluntarily give your bank account number to anyone, let alone the government?
Well, they'd never leak it.
but it really emphasizes what I think the problem, why people are frustrated. When the government's asking you for your bank account number, there's a problem. And I think that's why you see the majority of Americans question that piece of legislation. It gives a lot of authority to the HHS, to Health and Human Services Secretary, you elect members of Congress to make decisions for you, not to assign those responsibilities to bureaucrats.
Right.